Okay, being 7:10, we'll call the August budget meeting to order. I guess we'll go right into the agenda here. I think it's all that timer. First thing would be the meeting minutes.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of the June 12th meeting as written.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the minutes of the June 12th meeting minutes as written. Second? Second. We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, the next thing that we have on the agenda would be the financial reports. Everybody has some thing is, we haven't met for a couple months, or since June. Maybe, Catherine, anything exceptional going on, or, you know, selectmen's been?
No, I mean, the IT is probably the biggest expenditure for the police department, because we're bringing everything up to date and correcting and et cetera, but that'll take some time, but I think that's the biggest unexpected expenditure so far. Notice I said so far. One of the issues that's still out there is snow dump. There's no money's budgeted for it, but right now, we don't have a place to put snow.
We might have an idea. Spoke to John earlier before the meeting. It's possibilities to go look into. Okay, one question I had was, how much is in the police revolving fund right now? Is that on here? Oh, here we go. It'll be the last page.
Should be on the very back.
Detail involved in the second to the last page. $481.17.
Okay, so the cruiser that was purchased with, how much from the revolving fund was?
Half from the revolving and half from the general fund. So it's 13,225 from the revolving fund.
Okay, and then the Belknap Mountain Tower install and other equipment, what would that be?
Probably lights for the cruiser and whatnot. It would be in the, both You know, there aren't any dates here when those monies are expended on the revolving fund sheet, so it'd be hard to look to know exactly what they were. How many cruisers have been purchased since the end of 2012?
3. And was that all used with money from the revolving fund, or
No.
just the one?
One was purchased with drug gas money, 100%.
Okay. Did we have a public hearing for purchasing those?
We don't, that's for the RSA, we don't have control over that.
No, I mean for spending like the other equipment, the Belknap Tower install, and buying of the police cruiser.
The Belknap Mountain Tower was in last year. He came in and explained that this year it was going to happen. We had an opportunity to join in on that.
Yeah.
All the rest are state fees that are on Belknap.
I mean, but before we withdrew the funds and spent it on the cruiser, did we do a public hearing?
We had a public hearing on the budget. It was in the budget.
No, there was no public hearing for withdrawing the monies from that revolving fund, but I don't think there needs to be.
Well,
It doesn't need to be on the- It was very specific in the public hearings. They have to come from the revolving fund, they have to come from the general fund, and in the budget, at town meeting, that's exactly where it came from,
okay, because
where it was explained.
after reviewing the warrant article that was passed to create, it was Article 13, any expenditures over $500 from the revolving account needs to have a public hearing held by the selectmen for that specific purchase.
Does it?
Yeah. And that was, the vote
Oh,
was
I
taken,
remember
and
that
Article 13
conversation.
was passed as amended, and
Yes.
Selectman Pat Clark asked Selectman Dossman to
Yes.
amend this article to include public hearings.
Yes. Yes, the light came on.
So, what was that?
Was it last year?
That would
Oh,
be
no, that
2008.
was- yeah,
That's
that
when
was
we
way-
created the fund. That was the wording, that no expenditures would be made over $500 without a public hearing.
I remember that.
Any one expenditure or combination of?
Any,
Per expenditure.
Is it in the police revolving fund or any revolving?
Police
in the
revolving
police
fund.
revolving fund,
I do remember the conversation at town meeting.
so.
If this was approved at town meeting,
Doesn't matter.
they're still requiring a public hearing to say we're going to spend the monies that was approved at town meeting? What if,
Well,
what if we say no?
the revolving fund monies aren't approved at town meeting.
The 13,000 for the other half was probably discussed at the town meeting for that, but the withdrawing money from the revolving fund, every time we take $500 or more out, we have to hold a public hearing.
It's 2007?
That was in the 2008 report. So it'll be,
So is it included in the motion on the article, or is it dictated by the RSA?
It's in the
No, when we
motion already.
presented the warrant to town meeting, a discussion ensued, and I do remember, now that you've brought it up, that it was Pat Clark asked that we add that language
I think it was
to the
Tyron.
warrant, to the article. And we did. Here it is. Article 3 passed as amended. Yep, seconded by Tom Kavanaugh, absolutely right.
So it's dictated by town meeting, if not by not per the RSA.
Yeah, it was by that
I
specific
don't know
warrant
what
article.
RSA you're talking about. There's an RSA that tells you the language to create a fund, and,
Right, and
but,
what the criteria needs to be and how it needs to happen.
well, it just tells you,
My understanding of that, it tells you what you can and you can't do as far as extending monies from that fund for the RSA. So what they're doing here, one more time, but what they're doing here is they're saying, I just want to add this extra bonus and say $500, even though it's approved. We still want you to tell us when you're going to do it.
it was, when the warrant article was approved, it was approved with that caveat that anything for accumulated funds expended in excess of $500, the selectmen will first hold public hearings. That's what was approved at town meeting. That language was added at town meeting. And I'm for one embarrassed that I forgot. And I don't know if we've ever had a public hearing for expenditures from it.
Sure. Well, we know now, so let's make,
I don't think
have
it's
to make
done.
sure that we do that from here out. I don't know how we can go backwards for approval, but
So what are you saying? We just should have held a public hearing?
every time it was $500 or more, I don't, and I mean, I don't think it was just this year. It's been, I don't recall.
We bought one last year from the
Yeah.
revolving fund. We bought an entire piece from the revolving fund last year.
It's a-
This year we bought half of one, last year we bought it.
entire one, and I think before that we bought,
Right. Well, the year before that, it was one we bought from the encumbered funds, and one we bought from the,
Was this okay during a town meeting? Was there a vote for it? Is that what you were saying? Like, we just didn't have a separate,
There was a hearing on, it was on the budget, and there was a hearing on the budget.
right.
But that has nothing to do with the
That doesn't
expenditure, it was out of the
count. Yeah.
revolving fund, because that revolving fund isn't part of the budget that's voted on.
So according to this article, instead of going out and getting instead of hooking up the donor tower, we should have first held a public hearing, and then said, okay, chief, public hearing's done, go ahead. That's what you're saying.
I mean, public hearing's not a vote on it.
Well, even if the public hearing said no, that they still have the right to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
To expend the money. The public hearing wouldn't be the governing body of, it wouldn't be a yay or nay, you just hold a public hearing.
Right, but hopefully the governing body would listen to those at the public hearing, and if there were some, extenuating circumstances, or, large capacity crowd saying, no, 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 that we would listen to them.
That micromanagement.
No, that's
That's
democracy.
macro
That's
managing.
democracy at its best.
So, how much do we have left in there?
Less than $500.
$481. But all that was planned to have spent and spent this year out of the revolving fund was spent already.
Yeah. Okay, well, there's that. So I think I don't know.
I guess I didn't understand the language. Such funds may be expended only for the purpose of police special detail. What does that mean?
Police business.
It is, I noticed that. Before, it says it can be used for general police equipment, and then it goes on to the, I think we need to clarify that.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
Did you read that?
I see that, that's
Seem
down in
awkward.
the, well, that's down in the minutes of the meeting. So,
The wording of the,
to provide police special details, including but not limited to public safety services in connection with special events, highway construction, other construction projects. All of the revenues from fees charged or other income derived from the activities or services supported by the fund and any other revenues approved by the legislative body shall be deposited into the fund. The money in the fund shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year. Now, it should not be considered part of the town's general surplus. Town treasurer shall have custody of all the monies in the fund and shall pay out the same only upon order of the governing body. Oh, that's hard to read. It looks like governing. Such funds may be expended only for the purpose of police special detail. So that's, and for accumulated funds expended in excess of $500, the selectmen will first hold public hearings. It's probably incorrectly translated into these minutes from what actually took place, because if you look above,
It says and accumulated.
it says the whole,
Acquisition of general police equipment.
you know what, the one above is wrong too. Only for the purpose of police special detail.
And any accumulated funds may be expended for the acquisition of general police equipment.
Yeah.
So it's both,
Yeah,
which is the interpretation we've been using for a few years.
right.
Yeah,
So
and
they
the-
left out,
the intent was to have the details, earn the money to pay for the details, as well as to pay for equipment. And the revolving account, when it was created, was so that it doesn't go back into the general fund. Each year, it will just keep accumulating, and then you can draw it out specifically for general equipment. Then, yeah, the wording is very awkward, but
right, and also when I asked earlier about the $500, I mean, say they go out and they buy one thing for $130, and then they buy something else for $200, and then they buy something else for $70, and all of a sudden, how can you have a public hearing on those small items,
don't.
You don't.
but then you hit a cap of
yeah, it would just be
$500?
$500, as if anything, one check goes out for $500 for one item.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
A lot of the language is missing here from what actually took place at town meeting. The prime reason for creating the revolving fund was to purchase cruisers.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
That's why the $500, because it was anticipated that we'd be using it primarily for that purpose.
Right, so what I'm,
For small purchases.
right, but the point I'm trying to make, so as it's listed as other equipment, 68522, there may not have been one purchase for 68522. It may have been accumulation of things,
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
not
The other
not
two-
requiring a public hearing.
That's right. That bottom one might not have. You're
Right.
correct, absolutely. The other two definitely required it.
The only thing that, other than cruises, the only thing that the revolving fund has been spent on is this government amount of power. And you know there's,
No, other equipment.
well, other equipment, but that other equipment is associated with the radios in the cars.
Well, we don't know that, do we? We're guessing that's what it
I
was.
told.
Yeah.
So that may be different, the way the billing is, but that's what I was told. The reason for that is for years that they've had some blind spots.
Oh, yeah.
And we had an opportunity, unique opportunity to get into power. But we, the decision had to be made. And, you know, it corrected the problems that we had.
Oh, no, I'm very well aware of all that, so, yeah.
And so, and I think the chief spoke about it too.
Yep.
At the,
Police.
Yep.
And so that's why we pursued this last year with us, late last year, to do this. This was in that, and the only way we could do that was from here. And that would be the equipment. It has also to do with the cruisers, radios and cruisers as well.
Well, I guess everybody's knowledgeable now that that's what we have to do. I don't know if there's any implications from not doing that. I guess maybe you guys can talk about that tomorrow, or something, to make sure we're all set with that. Unless anybody else has any more questions on that. Okay, anything else we got? The next thing is I guess we now created a IT department with Tim, right? And that's at $350 a week that Tim gets paid for doing IT work. I guess the selectmen can do as they see fit to, manage the employees there. I've heard a couple people, and I've had the same concern that when, was it Eisenstein that was doing it before? Weisenstein. When he left, we were kind of stuck with nobody to take over, and then Tim took over. And once again, if Tim leaves, we're going to have no IT department for the town hall, for public works, or for that. And that was one of my concerns and was also voiced to me. And the other one is how are we getting that value of $350? Where does that come from? What was it bidded out to see if what it would be for an outside agency to do that thing? Because that's a pretty major expenditure. And just a job description, is it a separate job?
Separate job.
Separate.
Now, is there a job description for
Yes.
that with the, okay, so it's separate hours and,
Separate job description, separate wage line. Catherine, I don't want to take away from you, I'm not going to explain it here.
We can get you a copy of the job description, that's
Yeah.
the problem. In fact, I think I have one over there somewhere. There's some things that we can't talk about, the computer system at the PD, for security reasons.
sure.
But it seemed logical to offer the job to Tim. We had never included the PD in our IT portion of town. We included town hall, even when we had a company doing it before Tim took it over. Tim, over the years, has gotten town hall up to where it should be with technology, and it's not just computers, his job description,
Yeah.
far more than that. But we didn't bring the PD along. It was reported to us that everything was fine, they had an officer doing it part-time, blah, 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 until we discovered that we really had neglected them. I think for what Tim has ahead of him, we're paying him cheap money. When he is done, it will be mapped. The PD will be mapped. So, and the town hall is mapped. Highway garage is mapped in such a way that if Tim should decide to leave, that the person coming in would be able to look at his logs and know everything he would need to know to continue on. Right now, nothing at the PD, well, some of it's mapped because Tim's done it. None of it is mapped. We did not put it out to bid. We needed someone in there very, very quickly. It'd be different if it was the town garage, but you can't have your police department without the latest technology. Doesn't work in today's world. Everything is done.
What made the emergency?
The officer that was doing it left. And we had no
the last 6, 8, 10 years.
Yeah, we had no idea what,
Servers and everything, complete.
yeah, the server crashed, as a matter of fact.
And then the server crashed. So, without getting into some very confidential information about the PD and the works of the PD, suffice to say that the server crashed, and then she left pretty much almost the same time, a little bit afterwards that. So a lot of what Catherine is saying, technology, there are some very old technology there and piecemealed and made things work and band-aided.
I remember this from the meeting at the police, now that you say it, yeah.
Right. So try to put that together and where it works and how it works was a job, quite a job. We already had experience with outside network managers coming in, IT people coming in. The cost of that was astronomical. So to have Tim do the work was a little bit different than that. And we created the position so that if Tim chose to step down and we had an IT person came in, that job was created for that person, IT. But he's got a road ahead of him to get everything up and working together in sync with each other, and so that it's working with up there.
Okay, so he doesn't have, he has like a certain number of hours he works for a week, or is this straight salary?
It's a salary.
It's a salary that he works here because he does finance here, and then usually nights, weekends, during the day, he's called up there, he has to go. But you'll always see him on Saturday and Sunday, usually there. Right now.
When he has to, turn the system down to, like the server, that had to be done on the weekend. When he updates the town clerk tax collector system, that has to be done on the weekend. So it's basically a part-time position, salaried part-time position. If you look in the wage and salary book that the, municipal center sends us, you'll see that what we're paying him is the lowest for any community, even smaller than us, and most of them larger than us.
But $350 a week for one police department?
No, that includes what he does for town hall and
But
the
I
highway.
mean, we added the police department onto there for $350 a week, right?
We weren't paying him to do town hall.
No, we were not paying him to do town hall.
He was just doing it. He evolved, see, he
I'd have
evolved,
to,
he evolved,
excuse me for a second, if I remember correctly,
that was a bonus.
we had to go and we added things onto Tim's job,
We gave him a
including the
bonus.
IT, and then we increased his salary.
We added it, that's correct.
And I think over the past couple of years, we've given him, I think, 3 increases for adding on more duties.
At town hall.
And now I'm trying to see, the $350 a week is specifically just to do the police department.
No, it's the highway, he does highway, town hall, police, and he's helped out. He does all the municipal buildings. He's responsible, we put all the IT into one, everything. And we moved all the IT, phones, computers, copiers, everything. That's why we created the line.
Yeah, maybe I'm confused, because before he was doing town hall, the IT, and he was doing stuff at Public Works, and that was included in his salary, and that's why he couldn't come up here a lot of times, because he was so busy doing that we didn't disturb him. Now, we just add the police department to that list, and we also gave him $350. So the way I'm looking at it was $350 for that added police department piece, because why, since he left? Is that, I don't...
I think what you're asking is, he was given bonuses for doing the extra work, and then a new position was given, but he never gave back that bonus money for the extra work. It's all incorporated in I think the question would also be, what's our plan moving forward? Because this was sort of an emergency situation.
When we came here, when we changed and added the job description here, we were trying to get away from contracting out. It was cheaper for us to do it in-house, and that's why we went with Tim, because it was much, much cheaper to do it in-house. In my opinion, only my opinion, it was a much better job. And you knew right hands-on what was going on, and you had your fingers on everything that needed to be fixed. And you could also plan and forecast what needed to be replaced ahead of time. And that wasn't being done. That was not being done for a long time. So he took a load on when he did that a few years ago here at Town Hall. There were machines here that were extremely integrated, that wouldn't work with each other. Now that's all kind of, they're all working together with each other, and the server has been updated and so on and so forth. But that was work well paid for, and it was very cheap money to have that. If we had the outside contractor do exactly that work, it would have been thousands of dollars more. We already experienced that prior to that,
With an outside,
with the outside contractor.
and that would be a company that would come in and do this?
Correct.
Now,
And
if
the
I-
outside contractor that we had, we really didn't do a lot of forecasting with, replacement, so many machines being replaced. It was just a Band-Aid.
Actually, we did.
And it
We
would
did
break
a
down,
plan.
so at, $85 an hour, we would have to come and fix this one, and we'd have to come and fix that one, and it was cha-ching, and we would have a plan that was $2,500, then we'd add another $2,500, so it was $5,000, and it kept adding and adding.
Sure.
And now we had somebody on site that was willing to do that, that had the knowledge and expertise to do that. That's important, that had the knowledge and expertise. His background is IT. So now comes the PD, which if you add the town hall and the highway department together, doesn't even come up to the IT expectations that are needed up there to make things happen. And right now, to make those things happen and get it up to a certain standard, it's going to take quite a lot. Now, to add that on to something would have been a lot of money to do that. And he was willing to take that on when Merrick left. How long he would take this job, we don't know. I have no idea. There's no expectation on our part of that. However, he's willing to do it and get it mapped out and lined up and ready, and so it's easy working, and so that it has a rhythm, and that if there was another person that came in and took that job, and he stepped out of it, then it would still have that same rhythm to go along with it. I hope I'm explaining myself.
If we go back further, however, there was, when somebody else in Town Hall, I believe another job, had the responsibility of the computers in Town Hall.
Nope.
Plus, no
No.
one had it before?
Nobody
Not
in-house.
in town
Nobody
hall.
in-house at all?
Nope.
Okay.
Nobody. It was.
But we were lucky to get somebody who could.
It was contracted out at $85 an hour.
No, I know
No.
that.
Yeah.
No, it
I'm
wasn't.
aware of that.
There was a company in town that used to come in and take care of all the computer needs, not just IT, not
That was not
digital
something.
phones, just computer needs.
Something that used to do it.
When Tim was a selectman at the time, well, Tim became a selectman during that time, and they would come in and to replace one computer was like $1,500. And Tim was going, well, we can do better than that. I mean, it got ridiculous. And then we had the company come in here and plan out what we would need, because a lot of our computers were given to us, some came from the school, they were hand-me-down computers.
Banks,
Yep, the banks. So this company did a mapping for us, if you will, that showed this is what we would need to do over the next 5 years to get us up to snuff with our computer system. I mean, it was constantly every day, especially the town clerk tax collector was calling them up, you need to come up here, you need to come up here. Nothing was working right. So for a year, we followed their plan, and then Tim insisted that we could do better on our own. So he started purchasing equipment, and that's how he evolved into this role. And then slowly, I mean, I can't even tell you when it started to happen. People would say, Tim, my email's not working, or this isn't working, or...
And Tim was finance director at that point.
No, he was a selectman. And he would fix things. Then he became finance director. He stepped down from being selectman, became finance director. Well, now he's in town hall every day. So it's much easier. They would still call the outside company, which we had contracted with, and it was so much per year. And I think it started out being around, I don't know, I'm going to say $5,000 or $6,000 a year we'd buy this bank of time. And it started to mushroom up as our needs grew. Each year that figures we'd have to buy more bank of time for this. And Tim, because he was now a finance officer in town hall, started fixing. And he just evolved into it. One of the reasons we increased his salary had nothing to do with IT. He reads all of our contracts, negotiate contracts, he's written contracts. So he's basically acting as an attorney for us, which saved us thousands of dollars because most attorneys are...
Can we go back to the IT, though?
Pardon?
Because at some point, we stopped getting the outside IT.
Right.
And that's, at that point, the same year, we gave Tim an increase to cover for doing this IT.
But no, it wasn't just IT. It was for also, we were giving him, as I said, any contracts that came in, he would negotiate contracts for us. So instead of paying an attorney $175 to $225 an hour, Tim's doing it for his finance officer wage. We're not paying him any more to do this. He would just do it. I mean, I can almost tell you the first contract because I worked with him on it. Oh my God, I think it was...
Security-wise,
So-
this might be beyond our bounds as the Budget Committee, but security-wise, it's almost a little bit of a concern that outside people aren't looking at these things. The finance person is also working as our lawyer, who is also working as our IT person.
Only for contracts.
Just there's a possible conflict of vision. And I applaud him and thank him for myself as a taxpayer for doing these things. The question is, how are we going to move forward? Are we building a network that is now going to be that pool that we have to pay an outside source? Is it going to be that much bigger?
So far, we haven't paid any outside source.
No, in the future, I think we would
Discontinued that.
bid it out. He, as a person, would probably question to bid it out, but it seems like if I'm correct, it seems like a position was made. How was that position made? The salary for IT director, the IT director job, how was that? It just sort of evolved?
No, when we recognized the need at the PD and recognized that we, just had him doing this, he evolved into it. We recognized that this position needed to be created. Not for him, but for the town. They needed this, we needed an IT position because of the sensitive nature we were in with the PD. And we offered it to him before we considered bidding it out. He felt that he was able to do that, to devote the time necessary to do it beyond his financial responsibilities, and decided to give him the job. I mean, he's
And that-
more than qualified.
Yeah, and that's what concerns me also is, if we're not hiring an outside contractor to take care of it, wouldn't we be in the same emergency situation if something happened or Tim took a job somewhere else or something,
No,
God
because
forbid,
most-
happened?
a lot of
Because
what he's-
what I'm saying is, our eggs are all in this basket now, and he's evidently doing a good job of it, but in the future, is the police department going to add to their budget for next year separate IT contracting?
We have an IT, all the town's IT needs are going to be in one place, so if somebody wants to see what they are, they can look at it.
Will it be a full-time job? Because that's,
I would hate to think that we'd grow to the position that we'd need
yeah,
it
that's
full-time.
what I'm asking, is how
What-
big is this basket getting, and...
We feel is once he gets us through this, well, it's not really a crisis, but this critical situation, when he's done, as I said before, it'll all be mapped out. So somebody coming into the position, if he decides to retire, move, heaven forbid, or whatever, or no longer take this position, Maybe it's too much of a conflict with the finance, whatever. Somebody coming in is going to have these diagrams and books, so if there's something wrong with the detective's computer, they're going to be able to open this up and go, okay, this is how it's connected, this is what goes with this, and the backup and whatnot. They'll have that information.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't have any of that
Right,
for the PD. None of it.
yeah.
It's all been just, like I said, we left them on their own, we didn't assist them, they did the best they could, we neglected them,
Right.
and they've just kind of made it work.
And that's one of the things that would be concerning, is if we had a contractor, if the guy who normally works on it is on vacation that week, well, they're going to get somebody else to come in and do it, and you're assuming it'll be mapped out correctly.
No, I...
don't know.
I know it'll be mapped out correctly.
A contractor
because of
would
the
be by law
experience.
required to do it. It would be part of his contract.
By our own experience, we know it'll be mapped out correctly for what's been going
Okay.
on in town hall.
So could we explain, if he was already doing town hall and all that portion, and he just added the police department, and that gave him $350 a week, so that's just the police department, IT expenditure is $350 a week. It's, right,
Well, that's not the way we look at it, but you've asked that question 3 or 4 times, so...
is that, am I correct in saying that he did all the town hall and all that stuff before, and
We took into
when we added the
consideration...
$350 was when licensee left, and he took that over, and then we paid him $350 more.
We took into consideration how much more he has been doing for town hall,
He's also going,
plus
right,
the highway department.
and he's also going to do the forecasting with each department as well. And last year they were doing, listen, I need this, I need that, and I think we should do this. And so there's little tags of things that he's adding on to his responsibilities as well when you develop the IT job description. I wish we had one for you too.
I looked at, I've seen it over there, but I don't know where I put it.
The job description is much more than just adding a PD and responsibilities to PD.
What's the recommended salary for an IT director for a town this size?
I remember IT is not just computer,
I know that.
telephone system.
I know. My background, Catherine.
No, same benefits for all.
So it adds on, there's retirement benefit, and then there's also taxes on the other end of that too, 14,000. It's really a higher fee that we have to pay for that in the long run, versus a contractor, we wouldn't have to pay that. Right?
We haven't looked at this for a while. 43, 46.
Oh, and I just want to express, I think Tim does a really great job. I think we all...
I don't doubt him
all-
either, it's just the possibility of all our eggs in the same basket. It's, and just, no, yeah.
Well, no matter who you'd hire,
Sure.
they'd be in the same basket.
And-
If we
Yeah,
hired, still had that company, it'd be in that one
right,
basket.
but that company would have a contract with us that their company, like I said, say Tim goes on vacation in Hawaii and,
I didn't.
That was one of our issues. There were 5 people that worked for that company, and every day it would be somebody so different. So if you had an issue, one day, John would come up and fix
Sure.
the computer, and then, William would come up the next day, and he didn't know what John did the day before, and...
well, then they weren't good at what they did.
Bigger
Yeah, oh, sure.
time
Yeah.
spent, so that's
Sure.
a disadvantage to a
Sure.
lot of folks as well. But I hear you loud and clear when
Yeah.
you say you don't want all the eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
It would be nice to get it on board projecting,
Yeah.
get it into a cohesive rhythm,
Like as a, for instance, and it might be overstating my bounds, just as a idea, is maybe the police department for next year budgeting, I don't know if they would call it overtime or something, for one of the police officers to learn what Tim is doing at the police station, like the old police officer did. Isn't that what we did before this crisis?
And that's why we're in the crisis. Because a police officer is hired to be a police officer. It's a specialized
Okay,
field.
well, we might have another
We just lucked out because
crisis.
we happen to have one that had some IT
Sure.
background. Not as much as Tim has, but he had some.
Yeah.
I mean,
What are the other additional costs to hit that $14,000 for taxes and benefits? It's not just a $14,000.
it's a part-time position, so there really aren't any benefits. There's no,
Well, there's taxes that we have to pay on that
where you
$14,000,
pay that for any salary, any
but not a
employee.
contractor. And
No, but the contractors we've had in the past, we have saved thousands of dollars by doing it this way. Thousands.
Have we ever had a year where we spent more than $14,000?
Close
So no.
on the downside, so no, yeah.
But we didn't do, we weren't doing as much as we're doing now.
Included in it either.
So I guess it's a learning curve for us.
Sure.
So to answer your question, there are not a lot of information technology manager director positions in our population level. In the 5,000 to 9,999, $6,000 a year. That's a part-time. Newmarket as a full-time, $22.92 to $29.91 an hour. And these are 2008 figures, so they're probably a little more by now. In the 10,000 to 14,000 population, these are all full-time, 78,000, 76,000, 90,000, 81,000, 58,000. These are all full-time. There's a part-time.
What towns are those?
Claremont, Exeter, Hanover, Milford, Wyndham. Here's a part-time in Dover, $49,128. And that's an exempt.
that's a nice part-time gig you can get.
Now, I don't know where we really need to go with this tonight, but maybe we'll do some studies.
If anything, just how do we move forward with it? And I applaud Tim publicly, and if he was here, thank you for doing what you're doing. We just have to look at the possibility of down the line, what do we do? And,
Well, the selectmen are,
how embarrassing would it be if something did happen? And, well,
have handled it. It's under control, and like I said,
Okay.
he will have a report for us.
It almost seems to me that, I don't disagree at all with what Tim's doing by any means, but it almost seems like rather than evolving the pay, you evolve the position, rather than having Tim as a finance director and a IT director, that maybe he's more of a, business director or something like that, and the job descriptions get combined and the duties get outlined so that if Tim does leave, you have a solid job description for recruitment of a person that needs to come in with those skills to do that job.
Well, the reason we made it 2 positions is, we weren't positive exactly how much time was going to be needed at the PD.
Right, but there's certainly a need moving forward when we're in a technology world,
Wouldn't that need be less once we get through this situation and everything is mapped out, planned for the future? We know
Yeah.
when we're going to be replacing this computer, how much it's going to cost, that computer, how much it's going to cost, when will we have to replace the server?
Right.
Then it's just maintenance.
Right.
So hence the 2 positions. We may be into a situation where the town doesn't need a part-time IT person.
Right.
That, once we're in a stable position, let's say, that maybe it is something we look at an outside agency for to, hey, could you come in and fix, because this computer's down.
Upload contract.
That's why the two separate positions, so it'd be easy enough to eliminate one and keep the other.
Right.
Or if that, he decides, I cannot devote this much time to this because it's taking me away from my primary duties of finance officer, and then we'd be looking for someone else to do it. We wanted to be clearly to be able to take that position and do something else with it.
And we're lucky to have him, obviously, because, the chief must trust him, to get in there and do what that needs to be done. So,
We're very lucky, and his qualifications are definitely for it.
Okay. I guess we can pass that stuff. Anything more on that? Any other, we're doing pretty good on budget for everything else?
it looks like the police department's actually doing good on their budget. There's some, I think with the extra officers, some uniforms and supplies that are a little on the higher side, but that's all understandable. Seems to me.
We have another officer, Noel,
Yeah, I saw. Still,
That was our update when we were at the police department.
Jesse is now going full-time, part-time. And Luke is corporal now.
I know one of the things that always comes up is to make sure that they're rotating the police cars, not just using all the new ones.
Ask for that. Did you get it this time?
They have enough new ones now.
I asked that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter.
I specifically asked for it for the August one, and I was told that was going to
I don't see it here.
August 6A, we don't have a rotation this week, we've got the repair work.
I haven't seen it for this year, actually.
I'll make sure.
I think we have gotten it 1 month.
Do we get it 1 month?
1 month. Bob, it was the night that Bob came in here and gave it to us.
Back in February or something?
Yeah.
or-
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. If I get that, I'll email it.
And see what we got for mileage on them. And we could pick it out through service records. How many of the old ones are left on the road? No offhand? Let's do 4.
We have the four. So we have 5 and 6s.
So I just want to make sure we're taking some off when we put new ones on, so we...
Or put 2 off. Take 1 out of it.
Yeah,
And that's what we
that's great.
That was out of last year's purchases, wasn't it? These purchases are recent, what has been taken off.
The 3, they took the 3 out.
But that was out of the 2012 purchases, if you will.
2013, 4.
But the current 3 purchases we've made, what have they taken out from those?
The 4A, 4B.
And if we could get a little inventory of what we've got, so we know where we're at with that. Let's see, let's go. No progress on the island or anything? No. It's gonna...
I mean, it's just going to be rowed away?
Just no Nobody's, do they do any collections, when people, set a can out there and say, help save the island and inspire the people that show up there to tell their neighbors, saying, hey, because they're probably the best voices to get after Northfield or encourage them to save our island. And I know there's Northfield residents that show up over there.
There's
I think that-
Northfield residents that would really like to save the island, the Northfield selectmen are too eager to put their foot forward and save the island.
But it might be a good idea to start some people are real regulars up there to start some kind of flyer thing to,
I believe it's not their conservation committee.
it's the Hartwell,
No, I'm not talking about them. Might be their recreation department. There's a group over there that is going to try to work with us to persuade the selectmen, or at least have a petition warrant article to raise their half of the engineering costs and, try to get something started.
it'd be nice to publicize it a lot, maybe whoever's playing there saying, hey, let's save the island, talk to your selectmen, maybe even pass a hat, even if somebody gives a couple dollars and keep track of it, it inspires people saying, hey, we gotta do this. Because I don't want, we keep putting our money in there, and it'd be nice to have the other half come forward. Well,
Year before last, they promised that they would go forward with it, and they did, but they put it in the budget. But not in the right. So that's.
You're right, people, the more they're aware of it, more people they can
save the island posters or something.
A very nice volunteer to go in, a tree service company, go in and put their trees out there.
Did Northfield agree to that? Very nice.
So it's gonna happen.
Did we get it in writing from Northfield?
They met with
But did we get it in
What
writing?
else we got going on? Make sure everybody, if they got some questions, speak up.
I don't.
Over there the other day.
No?
Yeah, they maintain it. They maintain it jointly.
Is there anything in the easements or anything like that to say that they have to provide half the maintenance, or there's nothing?
No, it's a piece of property the towns own jointly.
I think it's like locked in that we have to co-own it too, I think.
Well, you'd have to contact all the Tilton heirs to get them agree to allow, just to let them agree to have Northfield say, sell it to Tilton or give it to Tilton. But when we contacted the Tilton heirs, they want both towns to own it. So they're gonna help us.
What else we got going? Is Shaw's going out to have impact on our taxes, or, I mean,
Something
What
else is
happens
being
with that?
planned on moving in.
already? So it'll sit there vacant for a while and the town end up with it or something.
They'll probably be vacant for a short while, but there's, let's call them very sturdy rumors.
Can we know who, or?
Another food store.
Maybe a Trader Joe's or a Whole,
Oh, I can only hope.
Whole Foods, yeah, that'd be nice.
Whole Paycheck.
No, let's just say it's not the moon, but it's,
So we'll see what happens over there.
They own that store already.
I heard Target.
Target
That's what I heard. Owned by
or
Dayton.
Best Buy.
Really?
Best Buy's going down the tracks.
Shaw's owns them. Isn't that weird?
Boy, online stuff is killing me.
Dayton.
that's what I was told.
Yeah, because that impacts the other stores. I mean, Staples is a good-sized store, but, I mean, the Asian food place there, I mean, that could affect all of them. Hopefully, somebody does get in there quick enough to keep everybody else afloat.
I don't think Shaw's has had enough business that it's affected anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
difference between them and Shaw's being over to the store.
Yeah.
That would compete with
Repairs down the
Walmart.
park, is that all? I remember we were trying to bid out the railings and all that. That,
For what?
they're fixing the railings, repainting the railings, or bidding that out. Is that all gonna get done this year?
Oh, the park? Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
those RFPs are about to go out in the mail. That and the ball field.
That's good.
So that will still get done this year.
Those will get done this year. Well,
That's not so.
we'd like them to get done this year. Shouldn't take long.
Trying to think any other big things that we, everything's a big
The
thing.
cameras are being, at the pavilion, the 4 cameras in the cupola that are non-effective are being moved down as we speak into the pavilion area, so there'll be more coverage there. The lights are being changed from their current, I'm going to say wattage, to be able to use a more economical bulb, so our light bill should be cut in half. And we're testing solar Christmas lights.
In downtown?
Right now, it's recycling down,
Yeah.
you know, particularly down the street, what we're gonna do, what we're gonna do, how it's gonna affect businesses, apartments, things like that. Other than that, there's not huge expenditures going on in town hall. We haven't done a lot that we're planning on doing. There's other things going on.
I got a question about the recycling. Is there an estimated profit off the sales of the bag coming to the town?
There's a lot of them.
Going to a fund, it's gonna go back to a fund. Yeah,
There's a lot of projected profits.
Very good.
yeah.
Depends on who you talk to.
Well, just, I don't know, yeah.
Cost of the
yeah,
bag
Sure.
for what we're selling it for?
Sure,
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
What is it? We have to be, is it 30%? Or recycling has to be 30% to show the profit, right?
What are we showing?
30% people engaged in recycling.
Recycling, yeah.
30% of the residents engaged in recycling, we will show profit.
Do we
More
know?
than 30%.
But that's based on bag purchases too. There's a whole
It's all
formula.
estimated, you never
Are they
know.
showing, I mean,
I mean, if people are really good at recycling, hopefully we don't make any money, you know?
Very well at recycling, so people are actively engaging in recycling, and each week the tonnage goes up, and more people are getting used to every other week and what isn't recyclable. So, yes, that part is going very well. When we institute September 3rd, the Pay As You Grow, then there'll be a learning curve, a couple of weeks of very responsive people, what do you do, how do you do it, you know, you have to look at the seniors and can they afford that, and you have to look at people with large families, can they afford that recycling, what they can do, how they can do it. But if we all work together and getting the
Bags
answers.
are cheaper
out
than
there,
others. This is not as
it'll work.
cheap.
I think the figure I heard was based on each household using 3 33-gallon bags a week. But the more you're going to recycle, the less bags you're going to use.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I know I can be down to 1 bag a week if I'm not hoeing out.
Right.
I used
So-
a half of one this, because
Yeah,
I kept
so
track.
we'll see.
I know I've gone from 4 bags of trash a week down to 1 bag.
Yeah.
And
Perfect
I
example.
really like the container because it's nice to just rinse something out and toss it in there,
It is,
you know?
Can you
I-
crush things?
I love it.
yes.
oh, sweet. Sometimes you run out of room, or at least
Yeah,
space.
Not real happy I have to wash my garbage
Say
stuff.
recycle on it, and they'll take that.
Spend more in water, but that's.
Except they didn't with mine last week, they took it in the regular trash, which kind of made me angry. I made this fancy sign that said, please recycle.
I don't know if it's which water district.
They put it in the trash.
I think they need to learn some as they go on. Yeah, the other thing, I noticed a lot of people, and I did it myself, while it's still not costing per bag, doing a little extra house cleaning. You know, Well, you don't have to pay, so I think our ratio is going to go of trash going, just plain rubbish, is going to go down a lot once you go to pay-as-you-throw. It's good. People aren't going to be cleaning out, and you probably had a spike in tonnage of trash. If you took the total of the recyclables and the other, it was probably a lot higher than ever before.
I know there is at my house.
So, I'm sure everybody else
There'll
did.
be
So.
an embarrassing amount of trash.
How
Yeah, but, I mean-
will it work if, let's say I have a mattress I want to throw out?
Go down to,
Same way it works now.
Still go to your, down here, or best way up on Route 140. They'll take it, yeah.
Well, let's say I don't have a way to get it there. I don't have a truck, I don't have...
but they wouldn't have taken a mattress before anyway.
No,
When did that before?
no difference.
Why don't there was like
between
some
then and
bulk
now.
items that, like, I've heard sometimes you can buy a sticker and put that on there, and that means it's approved, you've paid for that to be thrown away.
We don't have that
We
here.
don't have that. They don't, every once in a while they'll pick up some extra pieces of wood or things like that.
A nice short tool.
You have to be
I found.
creative.
It's
You turn a porcelain toilet into broken porcelain, or you have to just be creative.
No, I just know where I lived before that, you know, if you had something
Right,
bulk, you
yeah.
could buy a sticker.
Get a chainsaw, chop it up.
Manchester, you can do that. You just call them
Interesting,
ahead
yeah.
of time, and then you have to pay a certain amount of town hall, and then you can buy that day, and 2 days later, when you pick it up, take it out, take it out.
Here, you have to wait for them this week,
Yeah.
if you don't want to pay for it.
Most of our mail are to, amnesty weeks where they will take stuff. Where you go out
Not
there.
good, because they have to.
Yeah, no, yeah, which ones?
Anything else on the agenda, or else you want to get into
I
here?
just had one other question. It was about section of the financial department. I don't know, I circled it as I was going by, and now I can't find it again.
One was 152% spent or something.
No, we're at like 90-something% spent, and I'm just wondering if that was all like front-loaded money that was
Dues or
automatically
something like
assumed, yeah.
The interest on the long-term,
Here's consulting outside contracts, 96% used. Administrative miscellaneous.
And that's why a quick look seemed like,
5 administrative dues,
Under
postage,
financial.
151.
right
Under
here,
financial administration.
General
financial
building.
administration is at 91.9% already.
That's the audit. Probably because of the audit.
So how did Lakes Region Planning get
Was the audit not
paid by
assumed?
$2,500?
I don't know.
It was paid up front.
Oh, okay.
Outside agency?
That's what I mean, is the automatic check in the beginning, and then,
Like dues.
I didn't hear your question.
well, that's what I was asking, is it one of the things where, it's paid off in the beginning of the year, and it's already assumed, and that 91% is not to be something we should be concerned with, and we look to,
It's very tight.
Yeah.
Some people are concerned with it. It is very tight.
I have no idea.
He watches.
Does anybody know why Lakes Region Planning is spent at 74%? $2,421 over budget. Somehow combining, no. I'm thinking of Household Hazardous Waste Day. Did the planning board use them for anything?
Yes, but we got
But that would have been on the,
application for highway and, non-highway,
Oh, aren't they involved in,
wouldn't that have been in the land
Ernie's?
use?
right, no, aren't they in with the road audit? Isn't that part of the grant?
Shouldn't that have been taken out of, on the land use, there's a line for professional consulting, sorry, my mouth wouldn't work, for $2,000.
What page are you on?
3.
oh, you're on 3, I was talking about page 10.
I'm looking at the land use, if the land use had used them, was it unexpected? Or was it planned? was planned, I would have expected to see it under the land use. And even if it was unexpected, I would have expected to have seen it taken out of the land use. Because,
Well, a professional consulting could have been the attorney, too.
There's nothing listed under professional consulting. It hasn't been
it
used.
hasn't been used.
Page 3.
Good question.
What cars go by here?
Where are you even looking at?
We used them for the impact,
Impact
Fees.
fees.
and then we used attorneys for a couple of things.
That should have been taken out of the professional consulting.
Well, it's like what I'm saying.
I don't understand. Oh.
Run the check on that.
I have a question about the American Red Cross. What?
Maybe yours.
I just would like to also follow up on my earlier question about the financial administration concern at 91.9% already at 2/3 of the year. When this report was made, was 2/3 of the year. And my concern is the debt, the interest on the long-term bonds is at 99.4% at the writing of this report. Interest on long-term bonds would be fixed. It wouldn't be part of the overall interest rate for the country. And how does principal on long-term bonds, the debt itself and the interest on that debt hit over 100%? And now is at
May have something to do with
99%.
the sale of Business Park Drive this spring. Was that the spring we sold it? Which is, which may have affected the debt we had on it. That's a Tim question.
Okay. That's the only other question I had. Yeah, information technology, we already found out, we already know why that is at a high percentage already.
I see the American Red Cross has already submitted their request, but will we be asking them, or will we automatically get the rest of the information that we usually require, their financials and assets and yada yada? Do we usually have to ask for that, or do they send it automatically?
Generally, what will happen, like if I get a packet like that without it, I'll write them a letter or call them and specifically request it.
Thank you.
But while we're on the subject, in your packets, there is the updated form, request form of this year. Tim has asked that we put for the date to have the request received as October 1st. And if you guys are all right with that and okay that form tonight, what I'll do is I will send out the letters in the next week or two to get everyone informed and get the requests in.
Of that.
Of this?
Is this something we normally do? Like every year, it's annual?
You want me to make you a copy of this?
Yeah, it was developed probably 4 or 5 years back.
I want that.
what this is. This is what we're talking about. You have one?
Selectmen. Yep. I'm gonna make three.
Well, just when I saw it in my packet, it was like, wow, it's weird to see that what would normally be a charity asking for, but if that's a normal thing, then...
But there, if you'll look, there's your budget year and
Okay.
we got it.
Yep.
But in the past, we had trouble getting everything sometimes. So I think probably it's in this year. Not have anything.
So you're asking us if we wanted to change this in any way? Was that the question?
Yeah, the question is, I went in, took the form from last year. The only things I changed on that form was changed all the years to reflect the new year, and the date that we're asking the request to be in by, which Tim had suggested October 1st. If you guys are all right with that, you can just approve the form, and we'll get it sent out. If you're not, you can rehash the whole form again if you'd like to. It's been done several times, and I think, as far as I know, everybody's happy with it. But if there are changes that need to be made, we can do that.
Yeah, I think we've pretty well tweaked it over the years,
Yeah,
you know,
I
if
think so,
anybody...
too. I think it's
Yeah.
fine.
Now, October 1st, when do you remember last year's date? Was it later?
I want to say last year's date was probably the second week in October.
So, yeah.
For outside agencies?
And, because one of the things we do is we end up with the stragglers that come in, and at some point, we have to say, if it's not there, you missed out this year.
That's probably
And we
why
have
the
to be
Red
firm
Cross
about
is
it.
sending it, because remember, we've given them such a hard time in the past because no one showed up, and we really gave it to them last year.
I mean, as opposed to incomplete, we can ask again if it's not there on the first, you know, and give an extension if it's incomplete or something, but if somebody doesn't submit anything at all, and then all of a sudden, in end of November, they say, oh, yeah, we want,
Yeah, and I think we should just send it back, say, sorry, you missed the deadline.
you missed this year, so I see you again
Yeah.
next year.
Break them in right.
Well,
Yeah, it was October 10th last year.
CASA was told last year if they didn't respond immediately, they wouldn't get it, right?
CASA, we had a lot of problems receiving their material.
Yeah.
And it was made very clear to them that if they did not submit required materials, they would not receive appropriations in the future.
Even I called them.
Between
So
you,
is,
me, and Tim, it was crazy.
It was sad.
Do we have to make a motion to accept this guideline and as the official application?
I make the motion to accept that as the official application.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to accept the 2014 appropriation guideline application. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, so that's all set. I guess next meeting, we can set up a schedule of when we're going to have people come in based on who came in before, and do that. Pretty much let's see, let's go over the schedule. See, budgets, when's the selectmen budget due?
November 6th.
The very last meeting.
Yeah, see,
Of course, that's still recognizing that a budget can be changed after that.
It
You
always
remember
gets-
that, you remember that one year?
You would have it before.
It's like the day before the
the
deadline.
final
I
budget.
don't know how we squeeze it in.
It was, I don't remember what it was for, but I remember it was crazy.
Well, I don't know, do we need to accept the schedule yet, or just set it all up for, do it all next, next meeting?
Budget committee.
Well, we do it all next meeting, we'll take a look at this, and we'll fit everything in with everybody else, and we'll make sure everybody can review that. We can get out of here. We talked a lot about a lot.
Department heads to have it according to the subcommittee.
Okay. That doesn't involve us. Yeah, so you guys are all set. That's good. Nice and early, so you guys can get the presentation to us by the 6th and have a perfect budget that won't need to be amended. No surprises and snow storage in place.
Well,
Just leave out that word, leave out that word consulting, investigating, or whatever it was.
Get her done. Okay, is that it?
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Done.